Hello, and welcome to Chapter 5 for Macroeconomics, Public Goods, Public Choice, and Government Failure. Alright, so the demand side market failures, these occur because there are situations where it is impossible to charge all consumers or any consumers the price that they are willing to pay. So some can enjoy benefits without paying. A public fireworks show is going to be an example where people don't have to pay to enjoy the show. Now, private firms would be unwilling to produce outdoor shows, that would be impossible to raise enough revenue to cover the costs. Firms can't prevent people from watching the fireworks if they didn't pay. Now, private goods are going to be produced through the market because they have rivalry and come in units small enough to be afforded by individual buyers. Now, rivalries are going to be characteristics displayed by certain goods and services that consumption by one person precludes consumption by others. And then excludability is going to be the idea that those unable and unwilling to pay do not have access to those benefits of the product. So since you paid for that product, you are the only one that access to that product. If you don't pay for a product, you don't get it. So if you buy a water bottle and drink it, no one else can purchase that water bottle and drink it. So some examples will be like laptops, coffees, toothbrush, concert tickets, right? So anything that you buy that you solely have access to. Now, public goods are goods provided by the government or private philanthropy, not produced through the market because of non-rivalry and non-excludability. So non-rivalry is when one consumes the good. This does not exclude another from consuming the good. Non-excludability, no one can be prevented from enjoying the benefits of a public good. So you're going to have what's called the free rider problem. So many people can benefit from the goods without paying, making it unprofitable for firms to produce these goods. So as a result, the government often provides these goods. So examples of public goods would include like a light beam from a lighthouse, public music concerts, weather sirens, state park, and an outdoors firework display. Okay, so question 1. Which of the following statements is not true? All right, get a chance to pause this and answer it. So the answer here is going to be D. So public goods are only provided by government. Question 2, non-rivalry, non-excludability are the main characteristics of. I'll give you a chance to pause this and answer it. So the answer is going to be D, public goods. Question 3, all the following are private goods or services except. I'll give you a chance to pause this and answer it. The answer is going to be D, light beams projected from lighthouses. And question 4, which of the following is an example of a private good? I'll give you a chance to pause this and answer it. It's going to be C, toothbrush. All right, so demand for a public good for two individuals. So suppose Garcia and Johnson are the only two people in society, and their marginal willingness to pay for a public good, which is going to be national defense, is going to be shown below. So to define demand for a public good, we add the prices each individual's willingness to pay. Now we can't determine the optimal quantity of this public good where the marginal benefit will equal the marginal cost. So this means that society is efficiently allocating society's scarce resources. So the optimal amount of public goods is going to be 3 units, determined by the intersection of the demand supply curve. So how we get this? So Garcia's willingness to pay for 2 units of national defense is going to be $3, where Johnson's is $4. All right, so that 4 plus 3 will get 7. And then same over here. For 4 units, he's willing to pay 1, and they're willing to pay 2. And that's how we get the 3, right? So that's how we get here, and then they provide the supply curve to us. Okay, so question 5. The city is contemplating making street improvements on a street with only 2 residents. The marginal cost of the project would be $5,000. One of the residents anticipates a marginal benefit of $3,000. At least how much will the marginal benefit of the other resident need to make the street project efficient? So the government should only choose to undertake the street improvements if the collected marginal benefit is equal to or less than the marginal cost of providing it. So the marginal cost is going to be $5,000. The first residence is $3,000. So the second residence would need to be $2,000. All right, so the government can use a cost-benefit analysis, which is a practical way to decide whether to produce a good and how much to produce. The government might use this method in determining whether to build a new highway. So the cost would be resources diverted from private good production. and then the private goods that we will not be produced. But the benefit will be the extra satisfaction from the output of more public goods. So the opportunity cost of providing public goods includes the resources that are no longer available for production of private goods. Okay, question 6. The opportunity cost of providing public goods. I'll give you a chance to pause this and answer it. The answer is going to be D. So it includes the resources that are no longer available for the production of private goods. So this table shows the total annual benefit, which will be in column 4, exceeds the total annual cost in column 2 for plans A, B, and C, indicating that some highway construction is economically justifiable. Now we see this directly in column 6, where total costs are subtracted from the total benefits. Now option C should be the choice since the total cost is the closest to total benefit. So you can see the 240 and the 230. Now marginal cost and marginal benefits can be found by just taking the new minus the previous, right? So 50 minus 0 is 50, 140 minus 50 is 90, and then same for this side. So what these tell you is that you should increase activity, in this case highways, until that marginal benefit is closest to the marginal closest to the marginal cost. So in this case it would be C, right? So cost 240, benefit 230. Okay, so quasi-public goods, they're going to have characteristics of both private and public goods. They'll have partial excludability and partial rivalry. The government provides them because of the positive externalities. So examples would be like education, streets, public parks with a sports complex membership. Now, if they were produced in the private market, they would be underproduced. Positive externalities for education include better health, lower crime levels, cleaner environment, and more stable democratic government. So for these reasons, many nations have chosen to use taxpayer dollars to subsidize primary, secondary, and higher education. Right? Because a lot of companies aren't necessarily going to pay for just everyone's education. Is outside that it wouldn't benefit them. Maybe just paying for some, right? Like that's how generally it works. But we're not gonna pay for everybody's, right? So education clearly benefits the person who receives it, but a society where most people have a good level of education provides positive externalities for all. Now, the government taxes individuals and businesses. This reduces their incomes and reduces demand for private goods, but increases the production of public goods. The government takes the money and spends on production of public goods. Now, public choice theory is the economic analysis of problem government decision making, politics, and elections. Studying market failures helps us understand how regulating markets may help improve the allocation of resources, how changes in the way government functions might help it to operate more efficiently. And then incentives may lead political representatives to pursue policies that go against the preferences of the people. The majority voting system we use can make it difficult to know voter preferences. Okay, question 7. Problems with government decision making, politics, and elections are subjects that are studied in an area of economics called public. I'll give you a chance to pause this and answer it. So the answer is going to be B, choice. All right, so the democratic process is imperfect. Public choice theory demonstrates that majority of voting can produce inefficiencies and inconsistencies. In the marketplace, consumers can find and purchase a good that they have a strong preference for, even if it is unpopular with most consumers. But that is not the case with public goods. Because majority voting fails to incorporate the strength of the preferences of the individual voter, it may produce economically inefficient outcomes. So an inefficient no vote, so under allocation of resources. An inefficient yes vote, you'll have an over allocation of resources. So people who share a common preference for a public good may form an interest group and use advertisements, mailings, etc. to convince others of their view. Now, political log rolling is the trading of votes to secure a desired outcome. It can either increase or decrease economic efficiency. So question 8, the trading of votes to secure a favorable outcomes on decisions that would otherwise be defeated is going to be called. I'll give you a chance to pause this and answer it. So answer would be C here, political log rolling. So in the left graph, we're going to find that the majority voting leads to the rejection of a public good that would entail a greater total benefit than total cost. So your left here, you'll have 700 plus 250 plus 200. That gives us a total benefit of 1,150. But the total cost is only going to be $900, which is $300 from each person. So even though the overall benefit is greater than the cost, it's going to get rejected since 2 people voted no. Then on the right side, we are going to have 100, 350, and 350. That gives us a total benefit of 800 with the same cost of 900. So even though the overall cost is greater than the benefit, this will get approved. Now, paradox of voting is going to be a situation in which society may not be able to rank its preferences consistently through a paired choice majority voting. Now, different sequences of majority votes can lead to different outcomes, many of which may fail to reflect the voters' underlying preferences. So, as a result, the government may find it difficult to provide the correct public goods when relying on majority voting. So, not to imply that there is a better procedure, it is better than having a dictator. So, question 9. So, a situation in which society may not be able to rank its preferences consistently through paired choice majority voting refers to. I'll give you a chance to pause this and answer it. Oh, sorry about that. B. So, this is going to be the paradox of voting. All right, so the median voter model suggests the median voter is likely to determine the outcome of the election. Now, the median voter is the voter holding the middle position. At any point, people may be dissatisfied with the median preference. People may vote with their feet. The median preferences can change over time. So, example 3 people put in a suggestion, small, medium, and large. Now, if all 3 people voted and can't vote for themselves, the small will pick the medium since it is smaller than large, and large will pick medium since it's larger than small. Okay, so, question 10. Suppose a college economics department decides to use a single economics text for all sections of principles of economics. Also assume that the 3 individual members of the textbook selection committee have the following preferences. Assuming all other textbook qualities except analytical level are the same, majority of voting result in the committee. All right, give me a chance to pause this and answer it. Okay, so the answer is going to be C, selecting the MB book, because that is the middle preference. Question 11. Suppose 3 roommates cannot agree on the size of pizza to order. Domino argues for a medium pizza. Godfather contends a large pizza. Little Caesar wants a super large pizza, assuming no paradox of voting. Majority of voting will result in a decision to order. All right, get a chance to pause this and answer it. The answer will be B here, a large pizza. Now, government failure refers to inefficient outcomes caused by shortcomings in the public sector, like voting problems. So also there are going to be principal agent problem. So this is two conflicts that arise when tasks are delegated by one group of people to another group of people. The situation where politicians make decisions that will raise their chances of re-election, even if those decisions are detrimental to the general public. The special interest effect is when a small group that shares a particular goal can get the government to grant them a program policy, even though it does not work for the majority. Now, collective action problem. This is where smaller groups can achieve political victories. Larger groups are more difficult to organize and motivate than smaller groups. So, question 12. Question 12. The situation where politicians make decisions that will raise their chances of re-election, even if those decisions are detrimental to the general public, is referred to as the. I give you a chance to pause this and answer it. So that answer here is going to be B, principal agent problem. All right, so only 2 or 3 choices for candidates for re-election is referenced to as limited and bundled choice. So some economists state that public agencies are generally less efficient than private businesses, and it is not due to incompetent workers gravitating toward government and motivators working toward the private sector. Now, the government bureaucracies do not face the profit motive, which is a major incentive that guides private firms. Government bureaucrats tend to deal with failing programs by putting more resources into the programs rather than eliminating the program. And then economists assert that government employees often gain political clout to block attempts to eliminate their agencies, going regardless of performance. Also, critics point out that the government bureaucrats tend to justify their continued employment by looking for new problems to solve. All right, so question 13 here. Some economists contend that government agencies are generally less efficient than private businesses due to the following reasons, except. I can just pause this and answer it. So the answer here is going to be C. Incompetent workers gravitate toward government, while motivated workers gravitate toward the private sector. So that was not a reason. All right, so talk about inefficient regulation and intervention. So regulatory capture is going to describe the phenomenon in which regulators protect the interest of the companies they regulate rather than the interest of the public. Examples would be like the pharmaceutical industry, Wall Street, federal land leasing. So regulation is needed in our industry to keep everyone doing the right thing, right? Imagine if the Food and Drug Administration didn't exist, right? That would be super fun. Several forms of government regulation and intervention have been known to generate outcomes that are less beneficial than intended. Regulators can't spend too much time at the firm and become friendly and maybe make the decisions that lean towards them than what is right. A government agency has suffered from regulatory capture when the industry can control its government regulator. Now, a classic example is the pharmaceutical industry. They find ways to make profit over patients. So one potential solution for the government to engage is by deregulation. So this is intentionally removing most or all the regulation governing in an industry. However, that wouldn't benefit anyone, as most people will choose profits over anything. Now, this has been successful for airlines, railroads, and interstate trucking. Okay, question 14. Which of the following is considered a potential solution to some regulatory capture? I'll get a chance to pause this and answer it. So the answer is going to be C here, deregulation of the industry. And question 15. Proponents of deregulation point to all the following industries as examples of successful deregulation except for. All right, get a chance to pause this and answer it. So it's going to be B, pharmaceuticals. Now, political corruption is the unlawful misdirection of governmental resources or actions that occur when government officials abuse their entrusted powers for personal gain. Political corruption comes in two basic forms. A government official must be bribed to do what he or she should be doing as part of his or her job. A government official demands a bribe to do something that he or she is not legally entitled to do. All right, so that's going to be the end here. I put this on here. I usually do this for my in-person class. So that's why that this is on here. I just think it's something kind of cool. If you want to stop the video here, you can. If you want to see this, you may have seen it online. But this is just a cool money theory that I like. So it's an example of how $100 can clear a small town of 6 people's debt. So a tourist pays Jim $100 for some merchandise. If Jim takes that $100 and pays Jack for a repair he did, and then Jack takes that $100 and pays Lily back for money he borrowed, then Lily owed Bill the baker $100 for a cake he made. Bill owed $100 to Kim for setting up a floral set, and then Kim owed $100 to Steve for painting a room in her house. And then Steve has a remaining balance of $100 from a loan to a bank that he now pays off. Right, so all of that essence was just a single $100 bill, but it ended up making $700 worth of transactions and paid off $600 worth of people's debts. So again, that's just some quick, thought it was interesting. But anyways, that's going to be the end of this video.